Have you ever noticed that the more you tense up about something you want, the farther it seems to drift away? You plan, you push, you force outcomes to bend your way. Yet life keeps slipping through your fingers like sand. But here's the quiet truth the Stoics understood better than anyone. When you relax, life starts moving toward you instead of away from you. Picture this. You're trying to untie a knot. The harder you pull, the tighter it gets. But the moment you loosen your grip, the knot begins to unravel on its own. That's how life works. When you relax, things fall into place with a clarity you could never reach through pressure. Or imagine standing in a lake, trying to push the water aside with your hands. It resists you. It slips around you. But when you become still, the water adjusts. It makes space for you without effort. Stillness creates the flow. Because here's the truth. While you're chasing, worrying, and forcing outcomes, you're pushing against the very things meant for you. When you finally relax, when you trust the timing instead of trying to control it, that's when everything you desire begins to move toward you naturally. So how do you manifest your future without stress, pressure, or desperate chasing? How do you become someone life flows toward, instead of someone who's always swimming upstream? Stay with me, because once you understand this shift, everything changes. Before we begin, I want to share a story with you that will help better understand the wisdom behind this message. Claire had always been a fighter. Not in the loud, dramatic way people imagine, but in the quiet, exhausting way that keeps you awake at 2 a.m., replaying everything you want and everything you fear losing. She chased opportunities, forced results, tried to control every detail of her future, and the more she pushed, the further everything seemed to slip from her hands. She wanted peace, but her mind ran marathons. She wanted success, but she moved with tension. She wanted love, but always feared being left. One afternoon, overwhelmed by yet another plan falling apart, Claire drove to visit her grandmother, a woman known for her calm presence, as if life itself moved slower around her. Claire spilled everything, the stress, the frustration, the fear that life wasn't listening. Her grandmother didn't interrupt. She simply took Claire outside to the small lake behind the house. The water was still, so still it reflected the sky like glass. "Throw a pebble," her grandmother said. Claire tossed a small stone. Ripples spread across the water, distorting the reflection. Her grandmother smiled. "Now try to see your reflection clearly while the water is shaking." "I can't," Claire said. "Exactly," her grandmother whispered. "This is your mind. When you force things, when you chase, when you worry, the water shakes, and life cannot show you what is meant for you." Claire stared at the ripples fading slowly. "When you relax," her grandmother continued, "the water settles, clarity returns, and the universe finally knows where to place the blessings meant for you." That night, Claire didn't force a plan. She didn't spiral about what wasn't happening. She simply breathed, sat by the window, allowed stillness. And for the first time in years, she felt something soften inside. Over the next few months, things began to align effortlessly. Opportunities she had chased for years found her. People who once overlooked her began to notice her. Ideas flowed without pressure. Life responded, not to her effort, but to her calm. Because manifestation isn't about pushing, it's about becoming the still lake. So clear, the universe finally recognizes where to pour its gifts, and Claire learned the truth. When you relax, you don't lose control. You create space for everything meant for you to arrive. Let's dive in. Number 1. When you stop forcing, life starts flowing. Let's talk about something most people get completely wrong: the idea that progress only comes from pressure. We grow up believing that the harder we force things, the faster life will bend to our will. We push, we stress, we chase, believing that tension equals movement. But here's the truth: Stoicism quietly teaches. When the mind relaxes, clarity appears, and clarity creates direction. Forcing life doesn't make it flow, it blocks it. The more tightly you grip, the more life slips through your fingers. But the moment you loosen your hold, something surprising happens. Everything you've been chasing starts moving toward you. People rarely realize how destructive forcing can be. When you're tense, your mind is cloudy. You make decisions from fear, not wisdom. You react impulsively instead of responding intentionally. It's like trying to row a boat upstream with broken oars. You use all your strength, but you never move anywhere meaningful. Stoicism teaches a different approach. Move calmly, and you move correctly. When you relax, you don't lose power, you gain it. You start seeing the path instead of fighting the current. And here's the real insight: when you stop forcing outcomes, you finally make space for them to unfold. Think about how many times in your life you wanted something so badly that you squeezed the life out of it. Relationships, opportunities, goals. The more you pushed, the worse it became. But when you finally stepped back, breathed, and let things be, solutions began showing up on their own. That's not coincidence. That's clarity. Let me share a story. A man I know, let's call him Michael, was desperate to land a particular job. It was his dream position, and he wanted it so badly that he over-prepared himself into paralysis. In interviews, he sounded rehearsed instead of confident, tense instead of capable. He kept forcing the outcome, believing pressure would make him stronger. But after several failures, he finally stopped. He stepped back, took a week to breathe, went hiking, journaled, and gave himself permission to relax. When he returned, something had shifted. He wasn't gripping the outcome anymore. His next interview felt natural, effortless, and that's the one he got. Not because he tried harder, but because he stopped forcing and allowed his true clarity to emerge. So, how do you apply this? First, notice when you're pushing too hard. If something feels heavy, chaotic, or forced, that's your mind telling you to slow down. Second, trust the process. When you relax, you don't fall behind, you align with the right direction. And finally, remember this Stoic insight: haste is the enemy of wisdom. Move calmly, and you move correctly. At the end of the day, forcing life never works. But flowing with it, that changes everything. When you stop pushing, stop gripping, stop stressing, life starts opening doors on its own. Relax your mind, loosen your expectations, breathe deeply, and watch how everything you've been trying to chase begins quietly making its way toward you. Number 2. Relaxation removes the noise, blocking your decisions. Let's talk about something most people don't realize until life forces them to slow down. A stressed mind creates noise, but a relaxed mind creates clarity. When you're overwhelmed, everything feels urgent. Every small issue looks like a disaster. Every choice feels heavier than it really is. Stress turns your thinking into static, making even simple decisions feel impossible. You start reacting instead of responding, rushing instead of understanding, and forcing outcomes that were never meant to be pushed. But the moment you relax, truly relax, something powerful happens. The noise begins to fade. You're no longer drowning in thoughts, fears, or assumptions. You rise above your confusion, almost like stepping out of a storm and into clear, open sky. Suddenly, the answer that felt impossible yesterday becomes obvious today. The problem that seemed overwhelming reveals a simple solution. That's the gift of calmness. It doesn't erase the challenges in your life, but it changes the lens through which you see them. Here's the truth. A stressed mind sees problems. A calm mind sees solutions. When tension takes over, your inner world becomes chaotic. You can't hear your intuition. You can't trust your judgment. You're too busy surviving the pressure to understand the path forward. But when you let yourself breathe, when you stop gripping life so tightly, your inner wisdom finally has space to speak. What once felt complicated becomes clear. What once felt heavy becomes manageable. This is exactly what the Stoics taught. Marcus Aurelius said, "You become powerful when you control your inner world." And control doesn't come from force, it comes from calmness. The strongest people aren't the ones who fight every battle. They're the ones who know how to stay centered in the middle of the storm. They move slowly, deliberately, thoughtfully. And because of that, life begins to respond to them rather than resist them. Let me tell you about someone I know. Let's call him Daniel. Daniel had an opportunity to switch careers, something he'd dreamed about for years. But the moment the opportunity arrived, he panicked. He started overthinking everything. What if I fail? What if I regret it? What if this is the wrong choice? The more he stressed, the more confused he became. He couldn't see anything clearly. One day, a friend told him, "Take 24 hours, don't think, just relax." So Daniel stepped away, went for a walk, slept early, ate calmly. For the first time in weeks, he let himself breathe. And something amazing happened. The next day, he knew exactly what he needed to do. The answer was always there. He just couldn't hear it through the noise of his stress. So how do you apply this? First, stop rushing your decisions. If something feels overwhelming, step back. Let the noise settle. Second, trust that clarity comes from calmness, not pressure. The right answers reveal themselves when your mind is still. And finally, remember this. Relaxation is not laziness, it's alignment. When your inner world is quiet, life becomes clear, and you finally start manifesting what you've been chasing. At the end of the day, relaxation isn't escaping life. It's upgrading your ability to live it. Calm your mind, and the path will reveal itself. If you found this valuable, hit like and subscribe for more powerful insights. Number 3, you attract what matches your inner state. Let's talk about one of the deepest truths most people overlook. Your inner state is a magnet. You're not just walking through life randomly. You're constantly attracting experiences, people, and opportunities that align with what's happening inside you. And here's where most people get it wrong. They try to change their life externally while carrying internal chaos. If you're anxious, everything around you starts to reflect anxiety. If you're desperate, resistance seems to appear everywhere. But when your mind is steady, truly steady, life responds with clarity, opportunities, and ease. It's not magic, it's alignment. Here's the truth. If you're anxious, you attract chaos. If you're desperate, you attract resistance. But if your mind is calm, you naturally pull in exactly what you've been searching for. Life mirrors the state of your inner world. The Stoics knew this long before modern psychology ever talked about energy, vibration, or manifestation. Marcus Aurelius said it beautifully. "Within you is a fountain of goodness, if you but dig." What he meant was simple. When you strengthen your inner world, the outer world begins to shift accordingly. Think about it. When your mind is scattered, every decision feels overwhelming. Every challenge feels bigger than it actually is, and every setback feels personal. But when your mind is calm, even the chaos around you becomes manageable. You see things for what they are, not what your emotions distort them into. And the best part? The moment you shift your inner state, life starts shifting with you. Let me share a story. A woman I know, let's call her Emily, spent years trying to force success. She was constantly stressed, overthinking, and pushing herself to the edge. But no matter how hard she worked, things kept slipping through her fingers. Opportunities fell apart, relationships were strained, and she could never catch a break. One day, after yet another disappointment, she did something she'd never done before. She stopped. She took a step back. She rested. She breathed. Instead of forcing life to move, she allowed herself to relax for the first time in years. And something surprising happened. Within weeks, Emily started receiving opportunities she didn't even chase. People reached out to her. Projects began flowing smoothly. For the first time, life felt effortless. Why? Because she wasn't acting from desperation anymore. She wasn't radiating chaos. Her inner world finally matched the life she wanted. And once that alignment happened, everything else followed naturally. So how do you attract the right things into your life? First, steady your inner world. Calm your thoughts, slow down your reactions, and ground yourself. Second, stop forcing. What is meant for you doesn't need pressure. It needs space. And finally, cultivate inner clarity. When your mind is clear, your path becomes obvious. What used to feel like hard work becomes flow. At the end of the day, your inner state creates your outer reality. If you want a better life, don't chase it, align with it. When you nurture the calm within you, life begins to move toward you instead of away from you. And that's the true power of Stoic manifestation. Number 4, you stop chasing and start attracting. Let's talk about one of the most misunderstood truths of life. The more desperately you chase something, the further it feels. Whether it's success, love, opportunity, or peace, chasing with tension creates resistance. It's like gripping sand too tightly. The harder you squeeze, the more it slips away. But the moment you relax, suddenly things begin to fall into place. Not because life magically changes, but because you do. Your energy shifts from fear to confidence, from grasping to receiving, from force to flow. Here's the truth. Desperation pushes things away, while stillness draws them in. When you're tense, anxious, or trying too hard to control outcomes, your mind becomes cluttered. You overthink, overanalyze, and overreact. Your energy becomes chaotic, and chaos never attracts clarity. But when you calm your mind, something powerful happens. You stop operating from fear, and you start operating from strength. You stop chasing, and you start attracting. You give life the space it needs to bring you what's meant for you. This is where Stoic wisdom steps in. The Stoics teach us that what is meant for you will never need to be forced. Seneca said it beautifully. What seeks you will arrive without pursuit. In other words, the things aligned with your purpose are already moving toward you, but you cannot receive them while you're in a state of panic or desperation. Attraction begins the moment force ends. Let me share a story. A friend of mine, let's call him Daniel, spent years chasing career success. He worked non-stop, barely slept, and pushed himself until he burned out. The harder he worked, the more stuck he felt. Opportunities slipped away, connections fell apart, and every step forward felt like 3 steps back. One day, exhausted and overwhelmed, Daniel finally stopped. Not because he wanted to, but because he had no energy left to push. He relaxed, not by giving up, but by letting go of the pressure he'd been forcing on himself. And something incredible happened. Within weeks, a new opportunity appeared, something he had been chasing for years. But this time, he didn't chase it. He simply aligned with it. Instead of forcing, he flowed. Why? Because relaxation creates space for life to work with you, not against you. When you stop chasing, you start noticing. You see opportunities you were too stressed to recognize before. You make better decisions because your mind is clear. You attract better people because your energy is grounded. You trust the process instead of fighting it. So how do you shift from chasing to attracting? First, release the need for immediate results. Growth takes time. Trust the timeline of your life. Second, calm your inner world. When you relax internally, the outer world responds differently. And finally, believe deeply that what is meant for you cannot miss you. Attraction starts with belief, not force. At the end of the day, real manifestation isn't about chasing, it's about aligning. Relax, breathe, and allow life to meet you halfway. What seeks you will arrive the moment you stop running and simply stand ready to receive. Number 5, your mind becomes creative instead of reactive. Let's talk about something most people never realize. Your greatest breakthroughs don't come from pressure, they come from relaxation. When your mind is tense, every situation feels like a threat. Every decision feels rushed. Every thought is a reaction, not a creation. You're not thinking clearly. You're simply trying to survive mentally. And survival mode thinking can never build the life you want. But when you relax, everything changes. Here's the truth. A tense mind reacts, but a relaxed mind creates. When your nervous system is calm, your brain stops scanning for danger and finally has the freedom to explore ideas, possibilities, and solutions it could never access under stress. Relaxation isn't laziness. It's a doorway to higher intelligence. When you're calm, you aren't battling thoughts. You're guiding them. You aren't running from problems. You're solving them. You aren't overwhelmed by life. You're shaping it. Think about it. When have your best ideas arrived? Those moments of insight rarely show up when you're forcing yourself to think harder. They come when you're taking a walk, sitting quietly, driving peacefully, or simply breathing without pressure. That's because stillness unlocks clarity, and clarity unlocks creativity. Stoicism teaches that a calm mind is not an accident. It's a power you cultivate intentionally. And this is where Stoic wisdom comes in. Epictetus once said, "Silence is where the soul finds its power." That means your strength, your wisdom, your vision. They all grow in moments of quiet. Not chaos, not panic, not pressure. When you stop reacting to everything happening around you, you become someone who can create new paths, not just respond to the circumstances life throws at you. Creativity is a superpower, and stillness is what activates it. Let me share a story. A guy I know, let's call him Michael, spent months trying to solve a major problem in his business. Every day he forced himself to think harder, to grind longer, to push himself mentally. But the more pressure he applied, the foggier his mind became. One weekend, exhausted and frustrated, he finally stepped away. He shut off his phone, went for a long drive, and allowed himself to just breathe. No pressure, no overthinking, no forcing clarity. And guess what? In that quiet moment, the solution he had been chasing for months became obvious. Not because he pushed harder, but because he released the pressure. The clarity he needed was never missing. It was just buried beneath noise, stress, and mental tension. Once he relaxed, his mind opened like a window after a storm. That single moment of stillness changed everything for him. So how do you use this in your own life? First, stop trying to think your way out of tension. A stressed mind can't innovate. Second, give yourself permission to pause. The world tells you to hustle harder. Stoicism tells you to quiet your inner world so wisdom can rise. And finally, trust that creativity comes from calm, not chaos. When you relax, your mind becomes a source of power, not panic. At the end of the day, stillness isn't the absence of progress. It's the birthplace of it. Relax your mind, and you'll unlock ideas, clarity, and breakthroughs you never knew were within you. Because when you stop reacting, you start creating. And that's how you manifest everything you want. If you've watched the video this far, don't forget to leave a comment with a thank God and give it a like if you enjoyed the content. Your support means a lot and motivates me to keep creating more interesting videos. I hope you find inspiration in them and that we continue learning together. Thank you for your support. Number 6. You detach from outcomes and focus on the process. Let's talk about one of the most liberating shifts you'll ever make in your life: detaching from outcomes and trusting the process. Most people think manifestation is about controlling results, forcing things to happen, or constantly worrying about whether life will give them what they want. But the truth is the opposite. The moment you loosen your grip, the moment you stop obsessing over when and how things will unfold, something powerful happens. Life finally has space to move in your favor. When you're tense, stressed, or attached to a specific outcome, your mind becomes clouded with fear. Every small delay feels like failure. Every obstacle feels personal. You start thinking, why isn't this working? What if I never get it? And that fear blocks your ability to move with clarity and confidence. But when you relax into the present moment, when you trust the path you're on, you begin to see that manifestation isn't about force, it's about alignment. You do what you can with what you have and let the universe take care of the rest. Here's the truth. Manifestation begins the moment you release the need to control everything. When you detach, you stop draining your energy on things outside your influence. You stop living in the future and return to what actually matters, the work you're doing right now. And ironically, the moment you stop chasing results is the moment results start coming to you more easily. That's because your mind shifts from fear to flow, from tension to trust. You're no longer pushing life, you're moving with it. This is where Stoic wisdom gives us clarity. Marcus Aurelius said, "Do what is yours, accept what is not." In other words, control your actions, not the outcome. You decide your effort, your discipline, your focus. But the results, those belong to time, fate, and the natural flow of things. When you embrace this truth, life becomes lighter. You stop feeling like everything rests on your shoulders. You start enjoying the journey instead of obsessing over the destination. Let me share a story. A friend of mine, let's call him Daniel, spent years trying to force success. Every project he worked on came with anxiety, pressure, and desperation. He constantly checked metrics, worried about results, and pushed himself to exhaustion. Nothing seemed to work. Then, after burning out, he finally let go. He told himself, "I'll give my best, but I'm done obsessing over outcomes." And that shift changed everything. His work became better because he wasn't suffocating it with stress. Opportunities appeared out of nowhere. People started noticing him. Success began flowing not because he tried harder, but because he stopped trying to force it. So how do you detach? First, focus on what you can influence, your actions, not the results. Second, remind yourself that timing is not your job. And finally, trust that what's meant for you will never require desperation. At the end of the day, true freedom is realizing you only control the process, never the outcome. When you embrace that truth, life stops feeling heavy, and manifestation becomes natural, effortless, and deeply aligned. Number 7. Relaxation aligns you with your higher self. Let's talk about one of the most overlooked truths in life. When you relax, you reconnect with the highest version of yourself. Not the anxious version, not the rushed version, not the version that's trying to force outcomes, but the version that is grounded, intuitive, and deeply aligned with the flow of life. When you stop trying to control everything, something powerful happens. You start to feel guided instead of burdened. You sense clarity where there was confusion. You feel inner steadiness where there was doubt. Life stops feeling like a battle and starts feeling like a partnership. Here's what people don't realize. You cannot hear your intuition when you're tense. A stressed mind shouts. A relaxed mind listens. And the moment you quiet the noise inside you, guidance becomes obvious. The Stoics understood this better than anyone. They believed that the universe, nature, is always communicating, always directing, always nudging you toward what's right for you. But you can't recognize those signs when you're in survival mode. Relaxation is not laziness, it's alignment. It's the doorway to the wisdom you already carry. Here's the truth. When you relax, you return to your natural rhythm. Suddenly, you're not chasing answers. They arise within you. You're not forcing progress. It unfolds. You're not trying to manifest your desires. You become someone who naturally attracts them. Everything becomes simpler because your mind isn't fighting life anymore. Instead, you're flowing with it. And that shift alone creates opportunities, insights, and synchronicities you could never access in a state of tension. Let me share a story. A woman I know, let's call her Emily, spent years trying to force success. She worked non-stop, pushed herself relentlessly, and constantly stressed over every detail. But the harder she tried, the more life pushed back. Nothing flowed. Nothing aligned. One day, completely burnt out, she took a single afternoon to do nothing but breathe, rest, and be present with herself. And something incredible happened. In that stillness, she felt a sudden clarity about the direction she truly wanted to take. Not the path she was forcing, but the path that felt effortlessly right. Within weeks, everything started aligning for her. Not because she worked harder, but because she finally aligned with her higher self. That's the power of relaxation. It's not a luxury. It's a strategy. When you relax, you create space for the universe to meet you halfway. You stop drowning in your thoughts and start hearing your inner wisdom. You stop acting from fear and start acting from alignment. And that's when manifestation becomes effortless. Because you're no longer trying to bend the world to your will. You're moving with it. Stoic insight. To live in agreement with nature is peace. Zeno. At the end of the day, when you relax, you don't lose control. You gain clarity. You don't fall behind. You rise into alignment. And you don't chase your desires. You become the person who naturally attracts them.